Let's go ahead and get started. Bill just confirmed to me that you can now see my screen.
Yes, there it is.
Good, excellent. Okay, well, one of the things I wanted to show you, Bill, is sort of and I put it in here as my anatomy of a website to promote a service. What I did was I was sitting around and I was actually thinking about, what are some of the skills that I have that have gotten, a little bit better and I'm better at these days than I used to be. And so I put together, and I'm going to go there, iwriteyourbook.com. So what I did was I came up with this idea. It's not done yet because I've got to record the video that's going to go here, but I already have the script for that. So my idea was that I've been, getting pretty comfortable with writing, and so I thought what I would do is to create a site where I would ghostwrite stuff for people, and I wrote this copy in about, 30 minutes, and it's basically talking to people about how I can help them write their book. And so this is what it's going to look like. I had this idea that I gave to Stanley, and I said, look, I sort of want, a head over here and the books over here. This looks like there's multiple books, but what do you think of that image, by the way? Does that work for you, Bill?
I like it. Yeah, I think it's pretty clever.
Does it communicate? I mean, if you saw that without seeing any of the copy, it would be obvious what I'm doing, I hope, right?
Yeah, to me it says we go from idea to finished product.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to communicate. So the first thing that I did was when I came up with this idea, and then when I talk about sort of this anatomy of creating a website, so the first thing that I did was, number one, obviously I had the idea. Then I came up with a domain name that would work. Then what I did was I wrote two things: the copy for the site and the video script, which I have yet to record, but I'm going to do that probably later today or tomorrow. Then what I did was I had Stanley, my web guy. Stanley did a great banner to create the banner. Now, again, if you don't have someone that you can go to for something like this, you can find people in a lot of different places: 99 Designs, Elance, Fiverr even. But Stanley did a great job, I think, in putting this together. I think he's on the webinar as well. And so that's pretty much all that it took. This was, again, done in WordPress. So the way that this website was put up is, again, I've got unlimited hosting on coolhostingtool.com. So cool, that's the whole. So I was able to put up another domain for my services extremely fast and extremely inexpensively. Now, the beauty of this is that I prefer that everybody be selling products, because as Bill DeWeese knows, if you're selling your services, it can get tiring, and it's you have to deal with, client stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Bill, you would concur, right?
Would I?
So right now, if we could convert it and make it so 50% of your revenue is coming from products, that would be a lot better than only less than that coming from products right now, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So, but in the meantime, though, if you've got services, ideas, concepts, you can turn them into sites pretty quickly. And again, what I did was, this is not an inexpensive service that I'm offering. I think when I said there's basically somewhere between, depending on what you do, between $17,500 and 25 grand. So this is not an inexpensive service. So then the question becomes, so how will I promote this? Well, I'll mention it, in a number of different places. I'll tweet it out to people. I'll put it on my Facebook site, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not really going to be, I'm not really going to be pushing this, because in addition to that, I probably don't want to do more than 2 or 3 of those projects a year. So I'm starting to do that. But I also had something else happen yesterday. Well, I actually, a couple things, which, Bill, I think you'd find this interesting, especially given the field you're in. I recently hooked up with the guy. I met him at the poker room, as it turns out. And he has, I think I've maybe mentioned this here before, he has this condition called spasmodic dysphonia. You remember me hearing me say
I
that?
do not. No, I don't think we've talked about it.
Okay, so spasmodic dysphonia is, this guy was a pretty successful actor and a singer-dancer type, triple threat, as they say in that business. And he came down with this condition, and I think I think last week I showed something, you may not have been on the call. But anyway, so he's got this condition. So we got together again last night, finalized some of the details, and so I'm going to be doing a spasmodic dysphonia site with him and also a site on poker. He's a good poker player, and we're going to do that. Now, Bill, I don't know if you remember the movie. Did you ever see the movie Pool Hall Junkies?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, Pool Hall Junkies, and it's sort of an interesting. Let me just show you this. And again, everybody watching this, you may have an interest on this. In this, let me just see if they have Pool Hall Junkies trailer. Let's see if it exists. Yeah. So here is the. Let me see if this is actually the one. Yeah, here it is. Then I'll explain.
To master the game, you need passion.
What do you say we bump the bet? Play this one for 20.
5. You need talent.
I never said anything like you beat them, you take their money, and they love you.
But most of all,
You play pool, Mike?
A little. Why do you ask?
you need inspiration.
You couldn't make that shot again in a million years.
I don't have to make it.
So anyway, what happened was this guy who's the main character, which you see, it's this guy right here, Mars Callahan. So Mars Callahan is actually the guy that I met, whose name is Greg. So Greg, who I'm going to do these two sites with, is this guy, Mars Callahan's personal assistant. And he actually lives at his house in Vegas. But what's kind of cool is that now that I've met Greg, and he obviously knows Mars pretty well, I own a site called, and this is where from having websites, I don't think there's anything up there right now, but I own a site called filmsuccess.com because I've always been sort of a film buff. And it's not on there, so it's just we're going to replace that with something. But filmsuccess.com is where I'm going to put, if we eventually do it, a seminar where Mars is now, he's produced and been in a few movies, but something where you get a personal contact. And I said, okay, well, would he be willing and to do some kind of a seminar where he was the marquee draw, et cetera, et cetera. The guy said, yeah, probably. He's got, he's interested in doing something like that. But it's amazing to me how many connections you can find. So I initially go in thinking I'm going to do something with this guy. Other things pop up as well. But the key is to get up the website as fast as you can to promote it. So I just wanted to go over that. And then, Bill, I know that you've got, let's go through, just so everybody else can listen to it, let's go through sort of the steps and what the challenges have been to get things going here for you. And so what we're trying to do is to take the seminar video and protect it using wish list and make it available for sale, right?
Correct.
And so let's go through. So what are the components? I think I listed the components for you, but let's just go over them. So you tell me. So just let's see if we can Get it straight. So what do we have to do first?
The first thing we need, video, and then we had to get that edited. And that's really been what most of the time has been spent on up to this point, just editing all the video down into, a final product.
Okay.
So the next step was to, I've come up with domains for each of those products.
Got it. Domain names.
And I actually successfully this morning put them up on, got them hosted. I have never actually, as simple as that may sound to somebody as savvy as you, I've never actually done that myself. So that was pretty exciting. So actually, not only what's that?
If we go to a site right now, will we be able to see just the standard WordPress thing?
Yeah, just go to let's see, VOPlaybookworkshop.com.
VOPlaybookworkshop.
I mean, you won't see a website, but you'll just see that it's actually hosted by Bluehost.
Got it. Okay, so what you're going to do, though, is you're going to take that and you're going to make it into something. You're going to make it into a site where you're going to be selling. Let me just get to my... So, you got the domain names.
We're going to clone an existing website and use that as our template.
Okay, site. Use cool cloning tool.com. And so what we're going to do is we're going to clone an existing site, put it up where this one is right now, right?
Correct.
What are we going to use as our sample or the site that we're going to clone? What are we going to use for that?
Oh, it's voiceoverplaybook.com.
And this is one that Dave put together for you, right?
Correct. Yes.
So Dave Hamilton put this together. So what we're going to do is...
What is the greatest need of voiceover talent today?
Sorry, I'm going to have to shut you up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this same site and we're going to clone it onto the VO one that we just looked at, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, and so now you haven't done that yet because we're waiting to hear from Stanley, and Stanley, I think, is on the call. Let me just check and see. I think he is, right? Stanley, you're here? Yes, I think. Yep. So Stanley's watching, and one of the things that Stanley's going to do is answer the question, and maybe you could for me right now, Stanley, is can Bill use my program to clone this site? I mean, is it something, or do we have to do it for him? How does that work? So Stanley's going to eventually let me know how that works. And then what we're going to do is you're going to have this exact same site right here. And we're going to obviously have to replace the video, replace the copy. But what happens is Stanley says, yes, you can use my copy of Cool Cloning Tool. So Stanley will just show Bill how to do that. So what we're going to do is take this site. So step one, I think, though, and I almost feel like I should let Stanley get in on this right now, because you have to set up you in Bluehost, right? Bill, you set up and created the domain name, so it's now sitting there.
Yes.
The next thing you have to do, if I'm not mistaken, is have you gone into your control panel for that domain name and done a simple installation of WordPress?
No, I didn't know that I needed to do that. I was thinking the cloning would do all of that, but that I actually have to set up a WordPress site first.
Yeah, well, what happens is Stanley's writing the instructions for you now, he tells me. But the idea here is you first have to put like the foundation of the building there. You can't clone anything over onto it unless you have WordPress on there. So I think, and Stanley's going to write that for you. So you first have the foundation for the building, which is WordPress. Now you take the cloning tool and you say, I want this site here to be cloned onto this site here, which is also a WordPress foundation.
Okay.
And so when you do that, it will appear, everything that you've got in this one will appear on there, and then the only thing you have to do is go back and change the copy, change the videos, everything else.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Will the WordPress site that I need to initially install be the same theme as what's being used now?
You don't need to. You don't. That's the one thing you don't need. In other words, all you need is to put WordPress on the site in its simplest form, that just the installation that they give you. When you clone the other site, it will clone everything about the site.
Okay.
You'll get an exact, it's like an identical twin sitting now in that new location. Then what you'll do is go back and you'll edit copy, edit videos, et cetera, et cetera.
Got it.
That make sense?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so then you're going to use the cool cloning tool. You'll take that, you'll create this new site. And the beauty of this is, if you start to do, as I know you will, a lot of these different, products, what you're going to do is you're going to have this all set up. Now, here's our next thing. We also agreed for you that you would offer both, and the reason why we're doing this for people who are watching is Bill wants to make it so that people can either do one of two things. They can either pay for access to watch his videos, or that's option one, or number two is that they can also get the physical DVD. Now, have you talked to ConnectA at all?
No, I mean, you don't talk to them.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
that's not what I meant. I misspoke. You're right. They have no customer service, doesn't exist.
Right.
And again, we're talking about ConnectA, which is spelled KUNAKI.com. And so, have you set up ConnectA?
Well, I mean, I do have an account. I've used it before, but I haven't uploaded my current videos yet.
Yeah, and when have you uploaded anything to them before?
Yeah, I've got my initial audiobook workshop. I produced a few DVDs through them.
Okay, so you do have now. Do you remember how long it took to upload that material?
I remember setting it up on your advice, like letting it run overnight, and that's pretty much what it took.
Good, and that was per DVD. So it may take you how many? This is going to be a total of probably 7 DVDs, right?
Yeah, this may take me a week now that you mention it.
Yeah, so it's going to take a week to get everything uploaded to ConnectA. But once uploaded, now ConnectA, when someone orders, the physical DVD, because Bill is going to be offering either online viewing or the DVD or both. And so let's talk a little bit about, so when you set up the ConnectA system, you upload all of those DVDs. All you have to do is then just give ConnectA the name and the address of where you want people, where you want those 7 DVDs to be shipped, and they will do it, and they'll do it really cheap because it comes out to about, I think it's about about $1 per video, or per video, per DVD, and then plus, obviously, postage. So I'm guessing that most of your customers who order, I would figure this costing you, let's just make it an easy number. Make it, to be conservative, let's just say $15. Because it's going to be, or make it 20. Let's make it 20 to be conservative. So your actual hard cost is going to be $20. Now that's overstated, but it's okay to be overstated. Better to be, thinking it's more than it's less. So for $20, you then have to ask yourself, eventually, you may do some kind of pre-publication pricing, but eventually, what are you going to price? And let's look at those. Let's look at those options, right? You're going to be able to do DVD only, online only, or both. So then, if we, and again, online only might end up being something like, I don't know, $147. DVD only might be, I don't know, let's make it so they want to do the online, $177. Both you can get for, I don't know, $197, something like that. But you want to make sure that you aren't, that you're covering your cost. Now, this brings up a good question also. You have to investigate Amazon S3 to be able to do this one, right?
Right.
Have you done that yet?
Well, I set up an account a while back. I just haven't uploaded any videos yet.
But that's one of your next steps, right?
Yeah.
So the
definitely.
Amazon S3 account will allow Bill to take his information that he's uploading to ConnectA and also upload it onto the Amazon S3 server so that it can be shown online with a protected page using wish list. Now, to you, Bill, maybe some of the people that are on the webinar may be a bit confused, which I would understand if this is your first time hearing about this, but you understand the process, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, we uploading to ConnectA because they're going to produce and send out physical DVDs, uploading to Amazon S3 because that's where the online streaming videos are going to be hosted.
Right.
And so what we're doing is finding a way to satisfy the people who want the online-only option, the DVD-only option, or to get both, which frequently people will do as well. And I'm just giving some examples of pricing. Obviously, I would rather head people in the direction of online-only. We've made the pricing, and so I'm not saying these should be your exact numbers, but I think to get both the online and the DVD, we're going to make it a real attractive option because if we gave them online only for $147 and $197 is $50 more than that, we're really making an extra $30 off the DVD or whatever the proportional amount is. So this is obviously going to be the most expensive item. This is going to be the least expensive item, and DVD only is going to sit in between.
Right.
So I think then that, again, once you have, and again, I think that Stanley's writing some instructions for this, but it would be nice once you're done with this and you do it a few times, you're going to get the hang of it, and it would be a great product for us to sit down and produce together as to how to do this, because I know you have an interest in learning how to do some of this techie stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. Once I learn, I love it.
Yeah, so once you do it and you've done it a few times, then this is like one of those key concepts that I think a lot of people in information marketing miss out on, which is that once you learn how to do something yourself, take notes, create a good outline for yourself, because then you want to produce a product showing people to do how to do what you just did. And so you'll be able to sit down with me and we can record this and produce something where people can follow, my asking you questions and you're showing them using screenshots and or screen capture videos exactly how to do all of these pieces soup to nuts.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be, and that'll be another thing that you and I will be able to split some revenue from. So then we'll have this program that'll be another one of the, Bill Fred offerings, and it'll be great. I think that would be something that a lot of people who are right here on the webinar right now would probably pay for, is instructions on how exactly to go about doing this.
I know I would right now.
Yeah, and that's what I think Stanley's putting together a series of instructions for you on exactly how to do this. And but again, it's a cool idea, and the cloning really helps to expedite the process. So that's what other challenges are happening right now with you in terms of putting this together, or something else? Anything else?
Well, I mean, this is just, I'm taking it step by step. Like I said, it was a big deal for me just to figure out, the domain and get it hosted and all of that. So I'm just taking that step by step. The other thing that's going on in the background is this 100 questions product that I'm going to be putting together. So my daughter, who is also my assistant, Mallory, and I, well, actually Mallory's working on this right now for me, helping to fill in, the blanks. It's funny, one thing, here's an observation that we were talking about today, that people don't know what they don't know. In other words, a lot of the questions that should have been asked were not asked.
Yep.
And a lot of the questions that were asked were really not, critical. They're not mission critical. And so what we're doing now, or what she's doing now, is actually helping me go back and fill in the blank spots with some really good, meaty questions to help us make sure that we fill in all the blanks to help them, know what they don't know right now.
And I think, your 100 questions idea can be used in any business or any industry. So anybody who's on the webinar right now could really benefit. Tell people what the concept was and how you're going to implement it.
Yeah, well, the way it came about was that sometimes I feel like the voiceover answer man. People just email me questions all the time. And so I thought, let's put together, a product where I actually answer these questions in like 3 to 5 minute, a video, 3 to 5 minutes dedicated to each question. And when people first opt into my website, one of the things that we can do, we can immediately direct them to these top 100 questions, which I think there would be a great demand for, because if they have nothing else, they have tons of questions that they want answered. And so that was how this came about, and that's you know, as soon as I finished with this project we were just talking about, this is my next little hurdle, now, and that is to produce these 100
videos. The thing
videos.
about the 100 questions product, you're going to divide it up into categories, and let's remind me again what the category. One is going to be performance, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. Another will be marketing. Right. Customer service is going to be another, or customer service / management, because that's a whole big category in itself. Also, office, like office systems, office management. That's going to be another.
Equipment.
Oh, and equipment, yes.
/ tools, I would think, yeah.
Right.
So you talk about microphones, you talk about all that, DSL lines, you talk about. I mean, I would think that, so now let's see, we can brainstorm some others here. Performance marketing, customer service, office systems, equipment and tools, what else?
This exhausts everything that I'd come up with to this point. Those are pretty broad, umbrellas.
Yeah, I think they should be broad. Are there any other big categories that we're missing?
There's like agents and demos, which fall under, they're subcategories of marketing, but those are big topics.
Yep, I agree. Those should be separate. Okay. I don't think you should really concern yourself, Bill. One of the things when you put together lists like this and start creating categories is you may be thinking, oh, there are only 2 or 3 videos for each one of these too. Don't worry about it. It still should be a separate category.
Okay.
And this one, equipment and tools. So I don't really think you should worry about making sure that they're exactly 20 in each if you had 5 categories. It doesn't really matter. So I think that creating the categories, if we were to get, even more granular, then what are some other categories that people
auditioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be one. Okay. Studio etiquette.
Okay.
Would be another one. Let's see here.
And all of these now, you would have X number of short videos under each one of these, correct?
Correct.
And I can see a site in which, the page where people, after they pay for it, they will go to, will basically have sort of an outline in which you have each of these categories. Click here to see this video, click here to see this video, and also what we can do then, because now, again, the projected price point on this was how much? I think we said, what did we say, $77, keep it cheap?
Right, and then you also suggested that we do like an initial, like top 10 questions for like 17 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's still a good idea. So top 10 questions for $17. And then what I think you may want to do is sell each one of these categories separately if they want. Now, you know what? That might become a pain in the neck. Because I think it's going to be too much. So probably the best thing to do is, because what you're going to do, if you were to do it that way, you'd have to set up a separate page on WordPress for each one of these categories and have each of those pages be protected separately. And I've talked to Dave Hamilton about some of the nuance of this, and it's kind of tough to then make it, it's just a pain in the neck. So what I can picture is one page in which you have on the very top a video that welcomes them, and then it says, hey, look down at the categories, click on any things you want, and it'll play the video. So I think that this would be, so I see it almost like as an outline where you have performance, and then you've got, sort of indented, and then you've got 8 videos there with names to them. They click on it and they play.
Right, and I think $77 won't be a huge hurdle for most people.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so either. And I like the top 10 questions for $17, and then all of these for $77.
Yeah, I like that too.
And if you let's take an average, and let's just say it is, each video is 4 minutes each, and you end up with a total of 100. So you've got 100 into 100, 400 minutes. 400 minutes divided by 60. You're looking at 6 hours. What is that? 6 times 60. I can't. Why am I not? 4 times 60, 240. No, 4 times 100 is 400. What's 400 divided by 60? God, help me.
Yeah, that's the question. Hold on, I can.
400 divided by 65, 6 hours, 6.5 hours or so.
6, yeah.
Yeah, so there would be
6.66.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so I mean, even at 4 minutes each, 100 videos, 400 minutes is a substantial amount of. That's as long as one of your seminars that you saw.
Yeah, it sure is.
And so maybe here, what we do is 97 becomes the price, but we have some kind of, the special offer that we can do on a regular basis for $77.
Okay.
Because to me, 400 minutes of material on the top 100 questions is a huge value. And I don't want to discount the value, but I also want to get people in the door by getting them in these top. Now, what happens is when somebody orders the top top 10 questions for $17, then what's going to happen is you're going to have an autoresponder series that says, look, I will upgrade you for free if you like this. All you have to pay is an additional $60 or $80 if you're selling it for $97 so that they don't lose anything.
Right, okay.
So, and what I would do is on the page where you have all these, I would have the top 10 questions as a category in itself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so have those up there, and then, some of these may overlap. But so in other words, it's certainly okay if you have the video again, that one of the top 10 up here also appears in marketing. Also, there's one, that's okay. You can repeat them if necessary. But I just like the idea of somebody being able to go to the top 10 questions right there immediately on the site. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's, I think we're in good shape. I mean, it's just a matter of, because you're running you're a real business, voiceover. I mean, and this year, have you looked at the projections? You're all, let's see, what is it? January, February, March, April, May, June. At the end of this month, which is only, 10 days away or so, you will have half the year's revenue computed. Are you on track now to do 200,000?
Very close.
Yeah.
Very close. I can tell you the past few months I've averaged close to $5,000 a week.
Yeah.
Consistently the past few months, yeah.
I mean, so chances are, you're going to be, you're going to be on track to do close to 200,000. And so again, all this does is give us much more credibility. And like I said, one of the things, if somebody's on the site, and we click on, see my checks, and we have a bunch of those checks, pages and pages of checks. And again, you can cross out whoever the person if you don't want it to be seen. But I just think that would build massive credibility.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of this copied.
Got it. Now I got a question here that I may not be able to answer from Ken. Does cloning another person's website with cool cloning tool violate any plagiarizing laws? Yeah, we're only talking about cloning your own sites, Ken. You don't want to clone someone else's site and use it your own. Although, here's what people can do, and this is done fairly frequently and is not considered. Here's what you have to change enough. So let's say you found a site you wanted, you cloned it, and you changed some colors, you changed some fonts, you changed a couple of objects. Again, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV. I don't want to give you legal advice. but I know that you have to make, the term would probably be there have to be sufficient differences between yours and the cloned site to make it so that you're not violating any plagiarizing laws. So again, that's a guess. That is not a legal pronouncement. So take that for what it's worth. There's a guy on a radio station in, I think he's nationally syndicated. Do you get this guy, Bill Handel on the Law?
I have not heard him myself.
Okay, well, his tagline is marginal legal advice. And that's coming from a lawyer. So if he can say and call his site, or his pronouncements marginal legal advice, I can say mine are definitely not legal advice, nor should they be construed as legal advice. And it's possible I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I don't want to confuse anyone with thinking I know exactly the rules on all this. But again, it's a good question, because using the cool cloning tool, basically what I'm thinking about it, Ken, is using the cool cloning tool to, once you have a setup for whatever you want, whether it's a specific site to display videos or a site that you're going to promote a seminar, that you don't have to do it. Like, for example, Bill, next time you come up with some idea for a seminar, what is it? It is not ebook seminar. Now I'm doing mine, but it is
audiobook. Audiobook Success or audiobook.seminar.com, depending on when you're talking about.
Yeah. So Ken, what he could do is, if he's going to do another seminar, rather than recreate the wheel, he takes and he clones his own site. He changes this video here. He changes this copy here, and then all of a sudden now he doesn't have to redo everything for his next seminar. That's the main purpose that I'm thinking of the cool cloning tool. Speaking of which, Bill, have you scheduled any additional? Are there any workshops upcoming in the? Because by the way, the best times to do the workshops that people sign up for the most are usually September and October, great days. Months. September, October, January. In general, the 3 best months.
Interesting. No, I intentionally didn't schedule anything over the summer just because I need a bit of a break. But I want to kick back into gear in the fall, so I guess I probably need to schedule my September, October, November seminars now.
Yeah, I would. And if you do November, don't do November anything past the first week, because then it becomes Thanksgiving. So, but September, October, again, from mid-September or just past Labor Day through the end of October, very good time. So keep it between, say, September the 8th and October the 31st.
Okay, I'll probably do another audiobook and another playbook workshop then.
I think that'd be a good idea. Schedule those, get them on the calendar so that you can do that, and that way you'll be ready to go.
Awesome.
Good. Okay, so now the other thing that we were talking about, and again, we won't talk any specifics, but we were talking about the traffic issue, and you were telling me that I probably hadn't sort of seen that the numbers of opt-ins has gone up. I mean, so we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, we've added about 600 new people since we hit the the rankings.
Yeah, and so I'm a little frustrated because I know there are people who are in this business who probably have lists of upwards of 20 or 30,000. So my question is, how do we get those people, and how do we get them on board with us to be in, to be on your list? So we have to be thinking about other creative ways, and maybe now is the time to start. Who do you think? Who do you know? I would say that has a large list of customers that would be similar to the ones you'd be going after. Someone that you know personally.
Somebody that I know personally?
Yeah. Is there anybody you know personally?
I don't know anybody personally. No, I mean, there's, I mean, Susan Berkeley has the biggest list. I wouldn't say that we're, close personal friends.
No, but I'm trying to figure out if you could identify, because what I think is you're about ready to start to approach people on some joint venture deals, because they'll be impressed. You've got enough stuff now that it'll be impressive enough. And the other thing, though, is that, and this is, I was just thinking about this as I put up that site to show you that I write your book, is one of the things that we really have to do is, even though it's an audio medium, we really have to get, Bill's definitive book on voiceovers. That's what we need.
Yeah.
And
I think about that often.
And so here's the thing: why don't you, when you just have a pad of paper out or have a folder out, and just create an outline, a really basic outline. Like, I'll bet right now some of these elements right here would be part of the outline, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I would just create a list of all the chapters you think should be in the definitive guide to voiceovers. And just create the list, and then what we can do is, one of the things that might be possible is to take and to have me interview you on those, and have it, just transcribed and create it that way. Because I think that that's probably the easiest way. We can always do it differently later. But I don't. Yeah. How would you feel? Let's say when you had if you had just first started in the voiceover business, and you found a book called The Definitive Guide to Voiceovers, and what it was it was 20 chapters where there was a question and then an answer, question and answer, question and answer. Would that have been helpful to you?
Absolutely. I was hungry for information.
Yeah, and I you know what? I think we could produce that. We could get it transcribed. We could then put it up on Amazon, and I think we should schedule that, as soon as possible, because I'd love to see, because what happens then is and let's do this a second. Let's just do a quick search, which is what everybody who's on the webinar should be doing as well. So if we go to Amazon, right, and we put in here under books, and we put in voice, so I think we've done this before. And so we look at voiceovers, everything you need to know about how to make money with your voice. What we want to do is we want to come up with a name that really nails it. Like, I think, something like The Definitive Guide to Voiceovers, and then the subheading is how to start and build a successful voiceover business.
Yeah, yeah.
And isn't that, so let me just see, let's see how that looks if we put it down here. So we put The Definitive Guide to the voiceover business. How to start and build a successful voiceover practice. Can we call it that?
Okay, career.
Voice, good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So what do you think of that title?
I like it.
Yeah, I think that
there's no doubt that is an important. That's a missing element, I think, in building my credibility, and it just creates a bigger platform.
I agree 100%. And so, but Bill, this is an example of something where a lot of things sort of take time. This doesn't. I mean, literally, if you said to me, Fred, I want to do this right now, I'd say, okay, send me over the topics, send me over the subtopics, and we would sit down via Skype and record this. Probably take us, 2-3 hour sessions. By the way, here's I don't know, you probably know this because you do voice work all the time, but it comes out for me that when I'm doing a seminar, or when I'm doing a seminar, it's wild and uncanny how close I always get to this number. Almost always, 1 hour of me yakking is 10,000 words.
Oh, right.
It's almost exactly that. And I don't know what it is for you, but it's almost exactly 10,000 words for an hour. So if you and I got on the phone or on Skype and recorded for 5 hours, we probably we wouldn't have as much as that because it's a single person, but we may have 30 or 35,000 words.
Yeah.
And by the way,
how many? Yeah. Go ahead. How many would make a book, typically?
That's what this is one of those questions where how long is a piece of string? It's as long as it needs. As long as it needs to be to get done. So
yeah. Okay.
I don't have any problems with us. If you put these categories together, created some subcategories, you and I got on the phone or via Skype, or you came to Vegas or I came to Chicago or whatever we did, and we recorded it, I think we could then get it transcribed. It would take us maybe 8 or 10 days to do that, maybe less. We then, while that's being done or before that's being done, I think that one of the things, forget it. This is what we should do first. You want to get motivated to do this, here's what we do. Let's come up with a title that we're 100% confident of, and let's create the cover to the book. We're gonna create. We want to know what the title is. We want to get a feel. You've got to get an idea for what you think the look should be. We're going to create the back copy to the back cover, and once we do all that and have that sort of done, it'll mean all we have to do is fill in the middle with the book.
Okay.
And I think this is not going to be. This isn't going to be as difficult as you think if we do it this way.
Okay. Well, definitely, it puts my mind at ease knowing that we can actually, you and I can kind of sit down and talk through this. That will help tremendously.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at these, Bill, there's some real. I like this, by the way. This title. There's money where your mouth is. Now, there was a professional speaking book called "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is," and this is a great takeoff on that. So I think that this would be. There's obviously plenty of books in this area, and yours, Secrets of blah blah blah. Yeah, this. We got to do this.
All right.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do this, and we'll produce it, and we'll price it right at $19.95 for the physical copy. We'll do the downloadable one somewhere between $7.99 and $9.99, and we'll have tons and tons of bounce back offers in there that are clickable links within the ebook to get this to get people back to the sites.
Cool.
Yeah, and really all you have to do is, if you want to, is put it together in sections and then put questions, and then those are the questions that I'm going to ask you.
Okay. All right, I'll work on it.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good thing. Now, what I'm going to do is quickly open it up to everybody who's on the webinar. Does anybody have any questions about what we've just been talking about? We've got a few minutes left to cover any of those. So if you have any, that would be good. Don't see anybody asking, but feel free to do so now in the little question box for GoToWebinar. So I'll give you 30 seconds or so to think about whether or not you have a question on any of the things we've covered. By the way, for some of you who are having a problem getting a book written, a great way to do it is to do exactly what I've just described here, is to come up with those list of questions, put them in sections, and do that. So I would highly recommend you do that. And okay, let's see here. David asks, what is the definitive source regarding SEO? You want to answer that, Bill?
No.
There is none, David, especially because it's a moving target. I can just tell you two things. Now with Google's latest update, their latest iteration of trying to make it so that you get real sites when you ask for them. But you know what, David, you asked that question. Let me use it to plug something. Next week on Thursday and Friday, and Bill, I'll send you a copy of this, I'm going to be recording a program with a guy on how to generate traffic. And a lot of it obviously has to do with SEO. And so the answer to your question, David, is I always think of SEO as having 4 components. And those 4 components are, and I hate it when it keeps creating another. The 4 components of SEO are, there we go. I'm trying to write this with my. So you've got online paid, online free, offline paid, and offline free. Now, SEO falls into the category, obviously, of online free. But you really, when you try to generate traffic to a site, you should be thinking of each one of these 4 quadrants. So online paid might be pay-per-click. Offline paid might be, magazine advertisements. Offline free, publicity, getting on the radio. But there are a bunch of different categories in each one of these. And so we're going to be recording something on the SEO side with this guy who's a knowledgeable expert in the field. So there's just lots of things. But if you want a quick one on that, just content. Google loves content, lots of content, obviously. And they like links, and they like social media. So if you can give them all those things and have lots of things going back and forth there, David, that would be good. So, Bill, we're getting close to the end. Any final thoughts, ideas, questions from you?
I'm catching the next flight to Vegas.
Okay. Because we can knock this out fast. And if you want to do it here, let me know. My schedule is such that I've got, what have I got? I've got a couple of trips. I've got a couple of trips to New York coming up in the next couple of months. I have a trip to Ranger, Texas small town, 2 hours from Dallas. Sabrina has found long lost kin on Ancestry.com, and we're going to some reunion. So,
fun.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I'm up for it. So anyway, if you want to schedule a time, let's do that. And everybody else who's on the webinar. Oh wow, hold on, we got a couple things more. If Ron says, what about membership sites? With that, no, that's exactly what we're doing, Ron. We are doing a membership site, but we're protecting pages with wish lists. That's what it is. Are there other sites such as Amazon to find out what the market is saying and paying? Pretty much Amazon, eBay, let's see, and Google. Those are the three places you better look, Ken. So again, lots of great questions. Bill, thank you for being my foil for this. And we do these every week. So folks, if you've missed some of them, feel free to go to my site. I'll just show you where that is right here, and click on webinars. And all of these, as soon as I upload them. By the way, the latest thing on moving and uploading videos, Bill, you may not be aware of this yet. Stanley just turned me on to it, so let's mention it. There is a new thing. Instead of Dropbox, there is something called Google Drive. And it's basically Dropbox, but for Google.
Oh, okay.
It's attached to your Gmail account. It's easier, so everybody should check out and go Google Drive, because it allows you to take large files, drop them into this folder, then allow people to either download them, share them, change them, whatever. It's a great program. Stanley turned me on to that, so that'd be something we should do as well.
Awesome.